All right, so we're gonna start with this. It's just a chuck roast. This is gonna be a big batch, so this is actually close to 7 pounds or something like that. You could do it with half that. You don't have to be that big. So just took it out of the container, and you could see about that many peeled garlics. All I do is make a little hole, stick my finger in it, and then stick the garlic in. We got maybe 8 of them in there. Depends on how big it is. And then we're just gonna put a ton of salt on it, a ton of pepper. I'm gonna hit it on both sides. Same thing over here. All right. And then we've got this over here, pretty hot. Sometimes I do it in this pot if it's a smaller one. I'm gonna do in this. We got this thing super hot, and we're just gonna put a decent amount of oil down, and we're gonna brown off the roast, and we're gonna put it. I'm gonna put it with the garlic sides down. Oh, jeez. All right, let's see. Go on in. All right, just like that. We're gonna let it go super hot on that side, so it's got a good brown crust on it. So we're gonna flip it over. All right, well that browns, we're gonna cut an onion up, pretty good size onion, because that's a big roast. And just in case you don't have your onion slicing technique down, I'll show you. Cut the ends off, chunk them, cut it in half, long ways, and then just peel it like this. You can lose that last layer. Basically, that's what you want. All right, chunk all of it, and then we're gonna go from the green side. Right, that's the green side. It's the green side. This is the white side. So we're gonna start on the green side. Horizontal cut it, not all the way through. Leave the back so that it stays together. Don't cut your hands. And then we're gonna go across the top of it like that. Maybe a 1/4 inch apart. Again, not all the way through the back, but we want it to stay together. And now, every 1/4 inch, we're just gonna slice down. Should do some pretty. And once you get to the back, I just kind of do a radius cut like that, just to kind of get all that. But it's pretty consistent. So we'll do it again over here. Almost all the way through, but not all the way. And then across. All right, so we're gonna check this thing, see if we got a pretty good brown on it right now. Yeah, that side's got a good brown. So that's kind of what we're looking for. So we're just gonna flip it over. All the way through. Make sure it's down and just let it keep going. We're gonna get a good burn, good browning on that side as well. All right, so we've got this one browning on the second side pretty good, and take a peek at it. Yeah, it looks good underneath there. That's totally raw on the inside, but it is browned really well on two sides. And so we're gonna put it in this crock pot container. This is the bigger of our two crock pot containers because that's such a big roast. When I do kind of a standard batch, I would usually just do the smaller. So we got hot oil in here, some of the fat from the roast kind of rendered out. So we got a nice bed there to put in the onions that we just cut, and we still have the fire on it as high as it'll go. And we're gonna put some salt and pepper on top of these as well. And the salt helps kind of draw out the moisture out of the onion. And we're just gonna stir these up, and we're gonna let these just get translucent. We're really not trying to brown them. We definitely don't want to scorch them. But we're just gonna let these go in this for a little bit. Come back. All right, so these things have been kind of sweating down for a few minutes, and you can see they're letting off some moisture, and that's helping to deglaze the pan a little bit. So some of that good brown is starting to come up onto the onions, and that's all a good thing. They look like they're about as translucent as I need them to be. So then we're going to go in with a whole box of this beef stock. This is 32 ounces of beef stock going straight in. And we're going to use that to deglaze the rest of the pan. This is going to be the main cooking fluid that we're going to use. Whole thing goes in there, and then we're going to wait. We're going to let this come up to kind of a boil, and that'll help release all this brownness on there. And then we'll really get in there and really try and get as much of it up and into the fluid as we can before we transfer this into that. And we'll do that in a little bit. All right, so this is kind of where we want it to be. You can see it's steaming up pretty good. We're getting some bubbles coming through here. So that means that this stock is hot enough now to kind of deglaze all this stuff that's on. You don't have to get it all, but the more you get, the better it's going to taste. We definitely want to kind of scrounge everything off this bottom where that big roast got browned off and it left all those kind of those bits. So we're going to go back and forth and kind of do this and get all of they call it fond in cooking school. It's called fond, F-O-N-D. So what we're going to do next is pour all of this over the stock, the roast that's in our crock pot container. We're going to do that now, and it just all goes in. All right, shouldn't be anything left in there. You can see how clean that stock cleans out that pot. Turn that fire off. So now you see what we have here, which is the roast with the stock and onions and all the fond that came up. That's the only thing that's in there now. With whatever salt just happened to be on the meat and the salt that we put on the onions, we're gonna taste for salt and pepper later after we actually make the roast. But this, you could take this just like this and put it into your crock pot and put it on for 7 or 8 hours. A big one like this, you probably want to do the full 8 hours. Put it on low, not high, for 8 hours. You put that on now, and 8 hours later, we would see the next step. You'd be really close to finishing. This is tonight. It's 9 o'clock at night, so we're not going to start all that whole process. I'm going to put this whole thing in the fridge, and I'm going to put it in the crock pot tomorrow morning. And we'll get to that once that's done for 8 hours. All right. Well, here we are. It's 8.5 hours later. Put it on this morning, and no stirring, nothing. It's been on low for 8.5 hours. And this is what we get. It's shrunk down a decent amount. And we're just gonna take it out. Don't have to all come out in one clump because we're gonna cut it up anyway. We're just gonna get it off onto this cutting board. And we're gonna slice it after it cools off. So we're just gonna kind of get all these chunks out. And I'll show you after this what we do with the juice that's left. We're going to turn that into the gravy, and then we're going to slice this and we're going to put it back in. You could eat it just sliced when making gravy, but I like to make a debris out of it. So that's it. We've gotten everything out. We've got about that much gravy yet. And we are going to put it right back into the pot that we started everything with, into this pot. In fact, I haven't even cleaned it. We're just gonna pour it in there. So we're gonna take it out. go directly into here. Get everything in there. There you go. We're gonna crush probably 6 garlic into this. I'm gonna turn this fire on, and we're just gonna start cooking this down. We're gonna cook it down for about a half hour, and we're gonna crush garlic into it right now. And I'll stop. I'll show you what that looks like. All right, so we're back. So I peeled. Looks like 5 garlic. A couple of them are pretty big. And we're just going to crush them straight into this. I got the fire on high on this, and so it's about to come up to a boil. And we'll just sit there and let it boil and kind of concentrate, cook down for about a half hour. Just as many as we can fit in here, and at the time we're just cranking them straight in. We're not frying them off or anything. That's just going in raw. It has a different flavor to it when you do it like that. And we'll get the rest in here. So that's all of them. Easy peasy. Get everything we got in there. Try and clean out the garlic press as you go. It's easier. It could all go into the food anyway. And by the time this is cooked down for a half hour, we'll have our meat will have cooled off, and we'll slice that up, and I'll show you that when it goes down. I just want to show you a little technique. The chuck roast that we use had a decent amount of fat on it, and I don't know. You could either leave all this fat. You can see all this fat that's kind of floating around on top. You can leave it in. Sometimes I feel like it kind of makes it too heavy as a sandwich. So what I'm gonna do is I just take a ladle and just kind of skim some of this fat off, and I like the way that tastes a lot better. You don't have to get it all out, but if you can get a lot of this stuff out, it'll make it better. And so I'll show you when I'm done. I'm not trying to get it all out because I don't want to waste a lot of this gravy, but I'll show you when I'm done. All right, so I got a lot of it out. You can see in there. There's some left, but I mean that's a reasonable amount that I took out, and that'll taste a lot better. Kind of it won't be so oily when we add everything to it. So that's kind of what you want to see. Like I said, we're gonna let this cook down for probably another half hour. So I'll get back with you. One other thing that I'll add, don't ever pour fat like that down your sink. It's terrible for your sink. Find a garbage can that has a good bit of stuff in it. It's got a lot of paper, got a lot of old Scott towels and stuff in it, and just pour it right in there. And it won't even hit the bottom. It'll soak into everything in that garbage can already. Another thing, if you don't have a garbage can like that, you can get like a little Ziploc container and just pour it into a Ziploc container and then throw that away. But you definitely don't want to put that in your sink. All right, so we're kind of close to having that gravy ready. So what we're gonna do is start cutting up this roast. So it's cooled down a decent amount. You can see it's still steaming a little bit, but it gets easier to slice the cooler it is because it doesn't want to fall apart as much. So what you want to do is look at the grain of this meat and always just cut across it. So this grain looks like it's running like this. This one looks like it's running like this, right? And it's not the end of the world if you do it wrong, but each one of these little hunks is going to have kind of a different grain. So just kind of look at it. You could look at this one and tell this grain is running side to side like that. So we'll just take it, whatever way it's running. This one looks like it's running like this. So if we slice it, it doesn't have to be super thin. If you're slicing it purely just to make debris, you can slice it a little bit bigger. If you're slicing it for people to have slices of it and pour the gravy over it, slice it a little bit thinner. But This we're just gonna make debris with all this. Gonna do that with all of it. I'm just gonna do that with all of it. And of course the dogs are here and they're gonna want a little slice. There you go, Miss Patty. All right, so I'm just gonna slice all this up. I'll show it to you when I'm done. All right, so I'm just slicing this last piece up. Doesn't have to be perfect, but so that's it. It's all sliced up. We're gonna go over there and we're gonna thicken the gravy. I'll show you that, and then we're gonna put this into the gravy. So here's how we're gonna thicken this gravy. We got, maybe an inch of water in this. And we're gonna put a decent amount of this cornstarch in there, and this is good to thicken up a lot of different things. Any gravy, this, you just make a slurry out of it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a big heaping spoonful of this, and we're just gonna dump it into here. And it'll make what's called a slurry, and that's what we're gonna use to thicken this up, because if you look at this right now, it's just very watery. All the garlic is cooked into it, but it's very watery. And we will kind of want it to have a little bit more consistency. So that's what this looks like now. It's just kind of looks like milk. We're just gonna pour, not all of it, we don't have to pour all of it in there. Kind of get it as thick as we want it. And it happens pretty immediately, but the heat is really what activates it. So you kind of have to wait for it to come back up to a boil to see what I think it truly is. And you can see it's already getting a little bit thicker, but I want it to be thicker than that. Probably gonna pour the rest of this in there, stir it around a little bit. I'll pour the rest in there, and if it needs more, I'll just make some more. There's no set amount. You want it to cling to the roast beef when you put it back in there, so you don't want the gravy just kind of flowing off of it. So you don't need it to be too thick. That looks pretty good right there. So I'm gonna leave that just like that. And then one last thing we're gonna put in is a little bit of this kitchen bouquet. And that goes, I don't know, maybe 2 caps worth, something like that. And you'll see it change the color of this stuff instantly. It just darkens it. I don't know if it adds a whole lot of flavor to it, but it just darkens it. It's a more pleasant look. So we really haven't put any more salt in it. We put the salt that was on the meat, which is a considerable amount of salt. And then we salted the onions and peppered the onions when we had them in there. So what we're gonna do now is just kind of take a little bit, before we put the meat in there, we're just gonna take a little bit of it, and I'm gonna go over by the sink, and I'm just gonna let it cool off and blow on it a little bit, and I'm gonna taste it. And it should be kind of salty, but you don't want it to be so salty that one spoonful of this is too much, because you gotta figure you're not gonna eat just one spoonful, you're gonna eat quite a bit of it. So it shouldn't overwhelm you with salt. You'll know as soon as you put it in your mouth, oh, it has no salt in it, or it's too salty. If it's too salty, we can add some water. We can dilute it down a little bit. It should be undersalted right now because we really haven't added a ton. That stock has a little bit of salt in it, so that will do it. If we just use water, that would have less salt. So that stock put some salt into it. So I'm gonna go over there and taste it, and I'm just gonna add some if I need to. Pause it right here. All right, so it's close, but I am gonna put a little bit more salt in it. And that's probably, a big pinch like that, maybe 2 big pinches. That's a lot of liquid. So each pinch isn't going to move the needle a ton. And you really always want to sneak up on salt. Because once you oversalt something, you're in a world of hurt as a cook, because there's very few things you can do to get to bring that salt level down. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go over to the sink and I'm going to taste it again. Yep, that's it. Right there. So what we're going to do now is put We're just gonna dump all of our meat directly in there. It all goes in. If you were cooking for some people that would rather have it sliced like this and put gravy over it, you could do that. But we're doing this for a party, and it's all gonna be for debris. We're not even eating this tonight, so we're just gonna put it all in there. This board is great for the dogs to lick on. And then all we're gonna do is kind of move this stuff around. I don't like to break it up a ton, but obviously we want it all incorporated into the gravy. So we know that salt's right. The meat shouldn't be oversalted to bring the salt too high. So we're really just trying to kind of incorporate the meat and the gravy. And you don't want to overdo this part because then it becomes very stringy, and you kind of want some, every once in a while, to have a little hunk in there, you know? Hunks like that are kind of together, and that's good. So people like to grab that, stick it on their sandwich. But for now, that's it. You don't really need to cook it down anymore. The gravy wants to stick to the meat. Right now, I'm just gonna kill the fire on it. I'm gonna let it naturally cool down a little bit, and then I'm gonna put it in a piece of Tupperware because this is gonna be eaten in a couple of days at a party. But if it was you're ready to eat it right now, you could get sandwiches or shell some chips and just dip that right in there, and that is some good ass shit right there. So good luck. Let's roast.